Watch All in the Family, weeknights at 7 on CKDR.
On October the 3rd, the NHL began its 880-game regular season with a celebration for the 75th anniversary, starring former greats and teams from the original six. Early on in the season, it was new kids on the block like Vancouver and Washington that were grabbing the headlines. By November, traditional clubs like Detroit and Montreal were flexing their muscle. Individual heroics came, compliments of Mario Lemieux and Kevin Stevens in Pittsburgh. Brett Hull is on a pace to score 50 goals in 50 games. The National Hockey League's #1 manhandler has taken Manhattan by storm. Now, tonight, January the 4th, 92, we hit the midway mark in this Diamond Anniversary season. Game 440 will show you between the Toronto Maple Leafs and the Chicago Blackhawks, and we'll also treat you to Game 443 on the schedule between the Edmonton Oilers and the Calgary Flames from Calgary. The Oilers have won 2 of 3 meetings against the Flames this season following an open night debacle 9-2 at the Calgary Saddledome. Toronto and Chicago have met twice previously, the Hawks taking 3 of 4 points. Good evening and welcome to Molson Hockey Night in Canada on CBC. I'm Ron McLean. As I'm sure you well know, Thursday the largest trade in NHL history took place with 10 players exchanging jerseys. Calgary and Toronto involved. Here's a look at the new Leafs. Rick Wamsley, Rick Nattrass, Jamie McCown, Doug Gilmour, and Kent Manderville now with the Canadian Olympic team. As for the Calgary Flames, they received Jeff Reese, Alexander Gdyniuk, Michel Petit, Gary Lehman, and Craig Berube. The largest deal in NHL history. It's a story in both Toronto and Calgary. For a couple of new Leafs, here's how they feel about their Maple Leaf Gardens debut tonight in blue.
Well, I'm very excited about it. It's something that I guess I've dreamed about. I've always been a Toronto Maple Leaf fan, and it's nice tonight that my mom and dad will be a part of it, and my brother's here as well, and his fiancée, Luann. And again, I'm here with my good luck charm, Don Cherry.
I feel real good, Ron. It's a good portion of my childhood was spent watching this team play in this building with my grandfather, who's passed away a number of years ago. And it was real special to put on the sweater last night, and it feels real good being a member of the home team tonight.
Leaf President and General Manager Cliff Fletcher, Doug Risebrough standing by in Calgary. Cliff, a lot of people there said, and I read over the last 2 days, that Doug was really put in a tough position because when you were in Calgary, you had promised some of the players who've moved here raises. What are your thoughts on that?
Well, you'd have to ask Doug that. I can't answer for Calgary, but no players were promised raises. There were a couple players who had a door opener to renegotiate their contracts.
As for the Leafs' perspective on this, you're obviously better with some of the players you've received, but you're a lot older. Does that concern you?
No, it doesn't actually. You know, when I look back to when we were in Calgary back in '82 when things weren't going well, and we brought in Lanny McDonald and Doug Risebrough and Mike Eaves, so that when we integrated younger players into the lineup, that they would have an example set for them, and the environment would be conducive to developing a winning hockey team. And hopefully with the likes of Gilmour and McCown and Fuhr, we'll be able to do that here in Toronto.
My thanks to Cliff Fletcher. Cliff, I know you're excited about Wendel Clark's return. He'd been out since November the 6th, last night at Joe Louis Arena in Detroit. The Leaf captain was in uniform for the first time in a while, and it was vintage Clark. Here's a hit on Konstantinov early on. Then it's Steve Yzerman in the West. They call this bulldogging. But the Leafs wanted it from Wendel, and we're happy to see that, and also to see that he could take this hit from Yves Racine and bounce back. Wendel, as he's done all year, was hot with a scoring touch. This goal in just his 7th game of the year was number 9. Detroit won the affair by a score of 6-4 last night at Joe Louis. So that's the story here in Toronto. Now for a word from the Olympic Saddledome, let's head west and join Chris Cuthbert.
Well, Ron, if you want to find out who your friends are, make a 5-for-5 deal. Doug Risebrough has joined us. Doug, an awful lot of negative feedback about the deal. Has that caught you by surprise?
Well, not really. I think that there was an awful lot of negative around here with the situation and people deciding that personal wishes became more important than the team, and I think it flourished, and we were just trying to stop it before it got too big. Our reaction was basically we wanted to get people here that wanted to be here, and I think we've done that.
You traded 3 players that were in contract hassles. Is there a different financial perspective here now that you're the general manager?
Well, I don't think they're in contract hassles. Certainly Gilmore was one that was very evident, and we went through the system, and the system didn't work, and according to Dougie, and then it became evident that we weren't going to be able to accommodate them. The other people were ongoing negotiations, and I'm not sure that we had one meeting on one player and decided that with the agent and ourselves that we would wait till later, and I wouldn't consider that a hassle. I just think that it's a complexion and that it makes a tougher deal to swing right now, and players have to consider that, and so do management.
Is there a number in the back of your head, goals that Gary Lehman must score for this to be a great deal for Calgary?
No, I don't think that. I think that Gary Lehman has a great opportunity to come here and show us what he's all about. It's a great chance for Gary to play with good players, play with a city that wants him, and certainly with an organization that can make an impact.
How much input did Jerry McNamara give you on Gary Lehman? Of course, he was the general manager in Toronto when Lehman started there. Well,
Jerry works for us in an awful lot, and I really trust Jerry's opinion, but I also made sure that we talked to a lot of other people, and I got to say the people that know Gary the best or close to Gary certainly have a great opinion of him, and we're pleased with that.
Quick comment, are you finished? Is this your team now?
Well, we're finished tonight.
Good luck.
Thank you.
Doug Risebrough, coach and GM of the Flames, as we head back to Maple Leaf Gardens and Ron McLean.
Thank you very much, Chris. That was very interesting to hear what Doug Risebrough has to say as he gets set behind the bench in Calgary. Earlier this afternoon, Mario Lemieux left the game in the first period with back spasms. The Penguins did beat the Jets. Larry Murphy had two. The Pens snap a two-game losing streak and win to pull within 4 points of first place in the Patrick. The Islanders on a Ferrero goal lead the Nordiques, and it's now 2-1 Boston heading Buffalo at the Garden in Boston. Ahead on Hockey Night in Canada this evening in our intermissions, it'll be in the second that you see Michael J. Fox, and in our first, Don Cherry in the coaches.
And he's making a lot of that first save, and the defense for the Leafs maybe has the chemistry with the defenseman. I like his style, and he's playing very confidently. A big game last night in New Jersey, only giving up one goal, so he may be the goalie of the future for Toronto.
Scotty, the Canadians haven't frightened too many opposing goaltenders lately. Stéphane Richet's pretty well been all by himself.
No regular sentiment. He and Shane Corson, of course, have played most of the time together, but he's getting added duties. He's now playing when they have a goal lead late in the game, and he's developed into the Canadians' best shooter and as well as their best player, but he's drawing a lot of attention. Unless somebody else picks up the slack dick, it's going to be pretty tough for him.
All right, Scotty, always a great matchup when these teams get together. We go back now to Ron McLean, who's standing by with one of his close personal friends.
How are you? Dick, I hate to call you a liar. Listen, I want to tell you, when the Montreal Canadiens used to come in here, you said, oh boy, Leafs are in for trouble. I'll tell you one thing, Canadians better be ready. They scored the most goals, they've had the most against, they got the most penalties, and I'll tell you, they're exciting to watch. Everybody likes to see them. Peter McNabb, the New Jersey announcer, last night, said when the Leafs play the Leafs now, every team is a little leery.
The only knock appears to be goals against.
Let it ride. Go as long as you can. Look what happened to L.A. They said to L.A. we want to play defense. Look what happened to them. Let it go as long as you can. Everybody loves them right now. Tough and can score goals. We love it.
Love the hat. So do you, I can tell. Okay, stand by. It's the great Canadian rivalry. The tradition continues when the Montreal Canadiens visit the Toronto Maple Leafs on Molson Hockey Night in Canada on CBC.
With Vaseline Lip Therapy, you may never get chapped lips again.
Because Vaseline Lip Therapy covers completely. It protects, moisturizes, and relieves chapping. With Vaseline Lip Therapy, you may never get chapped lips again.
At Gillette, we never forget that the business we're really in is understanding men, knowing what it means for a man to look, feel, and be his best. On January 28th, Gillette will introduce Sensor and change the way you shave forever.
Many professional money managers offer RSPs, and all of them save taxes, but they don't always maximize long-term growth. Only one manager is Canada's 20-year RSP growth leader, Mackenzie Financial Corporation and the Industrial Group of Funds. So don't settle for second best. Ask your independent investment fund dealer or stockbroker about an Industrial Group of Funds RSP. At Mackenzie, we're looking both ways to manage your money.
Maple Leaf Gardens in Toronto in our second intermission this evening. Bernie Nichols, now of the New York Rangers, will be my guest for a special interview from Los Angeles as the Rangers get set to meet the LA Kings. The Leafs without Olczyk, Clark, and Kordic against Montreal healthy. We're set for the play-by-play. Let's rejoin Dick Irvin.
And there you see the officials for tonight's game. Dave Newell is the man in charge of this evening's proceedings, and Ron Finn and Mark Vines are helping him out. The Canadians have made a couple of changes, but I think Scotty more changes for Toronto with Olczyk and Clark out. Incidentally, did Grapes wear his hat because Wendel did? But obviously Doug Carpenter's going to have to shake up the lines a little bit.
Well, Olczyk's been so hot. 18-game point streak was stopped, and he was on a 5-1 until he got injured last night. He's been a big part of the Lehman-Osborne line, one of the better lines in the league, going both ways.
We saw Patrick Roy. He came in last night and played the third period in Washington, replacing Brian Hayward. It did not allow a goal against. There's Scrudlin in the Toronto zone, and Brad Marsh blocked his shot, and this game is underway. Last meeting of the regular season between these teams, and there's a giveaway by the Canadians. McIntyre on the far side, and he takes an elbow from Craig Ludwig, who turned him around. Just said he jammed Scrudlin. Close call in front. Iafrate broke in, and the Canadians get a break down ice. Chelios, Lemieux trying to catch up. A blast by Chelios right on. Reese stood up and made the save. The Canadians couldn't catch up to Chelios in order for him to make the play from the left side. Iafrate. Reed is jammed by Carbonneau as the Canadians make a quick line change here. Al Iafrate for Toronto. High shot off the edge of the glass and ricocheted up out of play into the crowd. So after 50 seconds, a rather rousing start to this hockey game, I would say. The Canadians, as Ron mentioned, are healthy. Last night was their 51st game, and it was the first time all year they did not have anybody on the injured list, so the players you see there are all just designated sitters. Clark and Olczyk. Kordic is under suspension. Todd Gill took the warm-up, not in uniform at game time for Toronto. John Kordic suspended for 2 games as a result of his attack on Mike Modano here the other night, so he missed last night in New Jersey and tonight against his former team. Something tells me Scotty would like to be out here.
Yes, and we saw Iafrate move right in the slot area, something the Leafs do well. He and Curvers.
In the Canadian zone, it's Walter with the puck for Courtnall, the ex-Leaf. The shot rattled off Brian Curran. Play along the backboards. Ryan Walter comes in, turned Tom Curvers around. Play at close quarters in the Toronto zone. Finally, the Leafs gain control. Gilles Thibodeau, he's up, he's down, he's back again. Vincent Damphousse on the left side with stick handling against Matthew Schneider. Merlois back to Damphousse off the mark, and Courtnall feeds it on the right side for Walter. Carbonneau misses the net. Svoboda can't keep the puck in at the line, and the Leafs, oh, that pass off the mark by Merlois, where they could have had a break 2-on-1. Courtnall knocks Damphousse down. He's still got a big fan club in this city.
You know, Dick, Damphousse and Marois Thibodeau, they'll be pumped up playing against Canadians. The French connection reunited in a lesser role, but they were good against Los Angeles about 2 weeks ago.
Chelios loses control of the puck, and then the Leafs cough it up. Shane Corson to Mats Naslund. Corson moves into the corner. Good play by Corson. Tried to center to Richer. The pass was blocked. Richer taken out by Mark Osborne. Fergus with it now for Toronto. Into the center ice zone for Gary Lehman, who has 31 goals. Osborne centering pass. Good checking in front. Chelios on Fergus, and this is Naslund. Richer winds up. Fires one. Misses the net. Off the corner all the way down the ice. Good pace of the game to start with, Scotty.
Canadians know they lost the game in the first 7 minutes last night in Washington. They're off to a better start. And a good pace, though.
Richer almost stripped to the puck by Daoud. Patrick Roy the save. A couple of saves. First shot came in from Steven. Mike Steven. This is a very aggressive start to this hockey game. Chelios at center ice. Todd Ewan. He's the new tough guy of the Canadians. Clears it into the Toronto zone. Ewan, Smith, and Martinson. Steve Martinson in the lineup tonight for Montreal. He's a hit man. There's Sylvain Lefebvre with a check on Mike Stevens. Ewan to Bobby Smith. Smith dumps it ahead looking for Martinson. Picked off by Pearson. And it's shot back into the Canadian zone. Svoboda. Lefebvre winds up. Long shot. over in his own zone for Toronto. We've got a penalty call coming up on Montreal. It's a delay. There goes Reese out of the net. I did not see what happened. McIntyre shoots the puck in. Patrick Roy handled it briefly. The whistle goes, and the Toronto Maple Leafs, with a rousing start to this hockey game, will go on a power play early.
At CIBC, we built something extra into an RRSP, a plan that could help you retire a millionaire.
Over time, our 10 RRSP options, including mutual funds and competitive rates, could make it happen.
And we'll back it with service, like a tax receipt, usually on the spot. So come in and get us working for you.
After all, everybody wants a comfortable retirement. At CIBC, we want yours to feel like a million.
CIBC, get us working for you.
The second game Steve Martin has played for the Canadiens this season. He played two games ago against Quebec and got in a couple of fights, and he gets a roughing call, which was away from the play, and I can tell you from the cameras, Scotty, a retaliation probably.
We've had some good checks, but Martinson received the check from a Leaf and retaliated, and Newell trying to put the lid on maybe something, feeling that these two teams are really going to go at it, and both teams have taken this game a lot more serious, especially Montreal from last night, and Toronto on a real hot streak, Dick, trying to win their sixth game, first time since '83.
Frady at the point on the power play. Lets one go, and it's blocked. Herber's on the other side, a former Canadian. The Leafs, a man to the good. Fergus to Curvers, deflection, they score! Oh, beautiful passing play. Osborne makes it 1-0 Toronto.
Curvers has played so well in the power play, Dick. He scored 7 power play goals. He saw the open man, Mark Osborne, feathered a beautiful play.